Hello, welcome back. Today in this video, let us discuss about one of the important concept if you are in a learning path about SQL. So if you are learning SQL as a scripting language or a query language, so it makes very important to understand how the query executes, definitely internally what exactly happens, and in that when you're understanding so execution order or the query execution order of a query is important so that you can understand or visualize the query much better. So we'll understand in detail about the SQL query execution order, and so this is just SQL, and so this similar order, since we are considering it as SQL, so the query syntax might be different, but it applies to any other query languages like if you are using Oracle, if you are using Hive, if you are using Databricks query, Spark query. So basically the order of execution remains very same irrespective of the query or scripting languages you use. So before proceeding, if you are new to the channel and haven't yet subscribed for the channel, we would recommend you to please subscribe and also press bell button for instant notifications. So let's get started. So basically, if you have worked on SQL, definitely you might have heard about all these operations. So basically, we call this as operations. First is select, then is from, where, group by, having, order by, and then limit and top. So in any query, so you would definitely see either all of this, or if not, at least select and from is minimum you will be seeing, right? So here all are not mandatory. You can just use select, you can just use the select from, but the thing is if you are using select and if you are using from, and then if you are doing a group by, so then only you can use having. So without group by you cannot use having, right? So that there are some dependency, I would say, with respect to group by and having. So having it can be used only when you have a group by, right? And so I won't go in detail about the syntax, like select is used for selecting the columns, like then the from is used to select the tables and all. So we will explain in detail in the coming videos, coming slides. So what exactly we are talking about as SQL operations, right? As a typical query, you would see something like this: select, there is some columns and there is some aggregated values. There might be, right, and there might be some tables which are joined between other tables. And there, when you are joining, definitely you need a join condition, and you might use a where condition for filtering out some rows, and then you use a group by. So whenever you are using a group by, you can use having on top of the group by aggregation. So this is how your typical query looks like. But what exactly executes first? So at a first glance, it feels like select statement will execute first, right? But however, in reality, that is not. Select statement is a statement which executes at the last. So then you might be wondering how exactly this operations or operators will work. What is the sequence of that, right? So let us understand that in detail. So as you can see, first statement that executes is from condition. Okay. So there might be in few programming language you can just do a select. I'm not considering that a particular key statement. If you just do a select some date, so there the from clause is also not mandatory. So you can directly, in that case, you can directly execute select statement only. Okay. But here we are taking a typical example. So where you have all the statements, and when you have all kind of statements, so this will be your order of execution. First comes from, because you need to understand this more logically, so you can easily understand or you can easily get the concept here. So whenever the query executes, first it needs the data, right? From where the data will be there. You can get the data from the table, and so when you can get the data from one table or many table. If it is many tables, so then you will use the join condition. So it needs the join condition. What exactly join condition of the details, right? And once you get the aggregated data, so on top of that, if you want to perform any row level filters, so if you want to eliminate any rows in that particular by applying some where condition, so then your where clause will execute. So then you will have a group by condition where exactly you can run some aggregation based on one column or more column. So if you want to group them and then perform some aggregation on top of that, so then you can use a group by. So after where your group by will execute, because so after this you know, I mean, you have a set of value here, and on top of that value group by will execute, and only after group by returns the result, on top of that result having will execute. So if you can clearly understand here, so having can only execute after group by, okay, and group by can only execute after where condition, if there is a where condition. So where condition is not mandatory, right? And next step is if you go to the select statement. So after having, so then you got the final set of results. So then you have say 1000 rows, and out of 1000 rows, each 1000 rows might be having 10 columns. So in that 10 columns and 1000 rows, how much columns you want to select, right? Out of 10 columns, you want to select say 5 columns. So only the select statement will do a column level filter. Where condition has done the row level filter, finally select statement will do the column level filter. And after that only your order by will execute. So this is the most confusing, right? So only, I mean, many people think only after order by select will execute. It's not. So first select will execute, then only finally the order by will execute to basically sort the record. So yeah, I mean, you can understand, right? So if you're having both select and order by, first your select will execute, and the last statement which always executes is the order by, right? And there is a limit or top function, top command you can use basically if you are, depends on the what kind of query languages you are using. So but limit or top, you can just limit the number of rows. If there are like millions of rows coming and you want just to see the value of 10 first top 10 rows, so you can just apply the top 10 or something. But so this is not much important, but understand here, right? So this is very important, like first from is executing and then join, then where clause, then group by. Only after group by you can execute having. So only after select you can execute order by. Okay, order by is the last statement, please remember this. Yeah. And let's move to the next slide where we will take an example so that you can understand it much better. So let us take example of a customer and order table where you can see a customer ID, first name, last name, age and country is there in the customer table, and in the order table you have order ID, item and amount and customer ID. So basically, like in each order, basically like you see which are for each order you can see which particular customer has been purchasing this, and by joining the customer ID key as a key between customer and order, so you'll be able to approach the join condition between these two, right? So so this will become example, and with this example we will see one by step how exactly our query execution plan goes. So first one, definitely, so just keep this in mind or take a note of this table of customer and order. So next we are going to execute the from clause with along with the join condition. So once we execute this, we will get this record, and if you see, this is the joining of customer and order table. So you get all the columns from both the tables here because I'm doing a select star. However, so in this during this stage, I'm not. If you see, only the from and join is executed. So select statement is not as executed, but just showing these values. So just to kind of purpose of showing you, but exactly what happened is it is just a from and join executed, and this records or these columns have been cached at this point. So now with this first step, so this is a table, right? You will get after joining, so it will go to the next step. Please note, we are not, select statement is not executed here. We are just executing from and join, and this will be the result inside memory currently executed. So next comes the where condition. You can see where condition now we have added here as a red color. So with that where condition, we are just taking the USA country, so that we are just filtering getting the result of USA here. And please note, still we have not selected the select clause. Okay. Now after filtering, so next step will be group by. So once we group by, as you can see, we are doing a group by customer ID and item. basically here our intention is we want to know the customer who has brought a duplicate item, right? So as you can see, duplicate item is we can understand when we can group by customer ID and the item, and having count greater than 1. So that we will come to in next slide. But so now we are grouping by customer ID and item. So this will be the result. Okay, after group by and our aggregation function. So here again, right? So aggregation function is applied, but it is still in the memory. We are not displaying the result in the still the select statement is not enabled. So this is still in the memory, right? So next it will execute having. So as you can see, having has become red. So we are executing these statements now, and having count of star greater than 1. That means what exactly count we are. If you go to the previous slide, so here count of star greater than 1 means it is the first customer who has purchased the duplicate item. So that customer only will be listed. And finally, in the final step, if you can see, we can use the limit and the select clause. So here is where the limit clause will execute. And in between, you can think of order by. If there are multiple say items or multiple customers, you can order by either items or a customer at the last. So only after order by your select will execute, right? So here we are not consider order by, but you can choose to consider order by. So that step will be here. So after having, your order by will execute, right? And once your order by executes, so then only the last step is this one, where you select the particular columns or aggregator function. So this is how your execution looks like. And let's summarize this, right? So we have seen this, and let us picturize. Let us picturize and summarize so that you will get it in your memory. So as you can see in the source, you can have a number of tables. You can join 2 or 3 tables or whatever number of tables you want to join with the join condition. Then you will have a merge data in the memory. So that on top of that merge data, you apply a where condition. So once you apply a where condition, you get some data, and then you apply a filter condition. So that filter condition record from the merge record, as you can see, it is little less number of records here because it has filtered out a few records. And with this filtered record, we do a group by. So group by is nothing but it is grouping into multiple buckets based on the group condition. And then after group by, you can apply having condition. So having condition will take only the first and third bucket, so eliminating the second bucket here. So here you will get a filtered value, and then so finally you apply a select clause where you can choose the number of columns that you want to select and perform any aliasing, and then you have a order by. So the final step, as you can see, is the order by here. And in based on different programming languages, you can use limit or offset or top as a command to kind of get the creamy layer of the records. So hope this was useful, and so this is how the query execution takes place behind the scenes, and hope it was interesting and important to understand. So thanks for watching.